And when he said, "You're going to stay vegan," I nearly cried. I was like, "I don't want to, please. Why? What's wrong with it? You said we can bless everything and eat it." I was arguing with God. And he was like, "No, you're going to stay vegan." And even the recipe, like, I've never made pastry before. And literally the download came was just, so I Googled how you make pastry, but the filling, obviously there's nobody's ever made vegan patties tasting like me. I didn't know what I was doing, so I was like, okay. He said, "Put this stop, literally like that." What? I was literally, and for the first few times I didn't measure nothing. So when I had to write it down to say I need to make sure I remember it, I was just like, "How much is this?" And it's like, "You go, stop, yeah, that's the amount." It was crazy.
Wow. Now I need some of this. Like, how are you getting these downloads that I'm not getting?
Yeah.
How do you get these downloads?
Not Another Money Podcast. Why is it called Not Another Money Podcast, you may be wondering? It's because this is not your typical money show. Get ready for real money conversations and lessons, expert insights from some of our very special guests, and hear some really inspiring stories from everyday people. On this podcast, you're going to learn how to earn more, how to spend less, how to grow the difference, and most importantly, live your best financial life.
Hello, Natasha. Welcome to Not Another Money Podcast. How are you today?
I am great. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah,
It's been one of my ambitions to get on your podcast.
Oh, stop it. No, you're finally here, and I really appreciate you honouring the invitation.
Pleasure.
Okay, do you want to, in your words, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
My name is Natasha Orumbie, and I founded the Vegan Patty Lady 14 months ago. I have a history of baking. I started baking in 2009, but the journey to the Vegan Patty Lady started just after a 4-year stint of being vegan and not loving what I was eating. So I got very frustrated, and it encouraged me to be creative, and I had a divine download inspiration, and basically I birthed the Vegan Patty Lady once I realised people were so excited about vegan patties. I had no idea.
Yeah, now we're going to talk a lot more about that on today's show. But before we do all of that, and before we dive into the meat of today's conversation, what I like to do with my guests at the beginning is play a little bit of an icebreaker, and it's a game of Would You Rather, and it's the money edition. So I'm going to give you some options, and you're going to tell me whether you would rather A or B.
Okay.
As quick fire as we can, and you're not allowed to change your mind. Well, no, you can change your mind, but yeah. So the first one, would you rather work 80 hours a week for 5 years and retire early, or work 30 hours a week for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I'll do that now. If I could retire in 5 years, hallelujah.
I knew you were going to say that, to be honest. Yeah, okay, cool. The next one, would you rather have a perfect business idea, but with no money to start that idea, or all the money you need, but no business idea?
All the money I need, I'll find a business idea.
Yeah?
Because, it's frustrating when you ain't got no money.
Yeah. Okay, so B. Yeah, I think I'll go with B as well, because, once I've got that money, I can figure it out. Okay, so the next one, would you rather inherit a family business that isn't your passion, or start from scratch in your dream industry?
Dream industry.
Yeah?
Yeah, start from scratch. Inheriting something that you can't be passionate about would mean you just won't have the energy to do it. Why I can do what I do is because I love it.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's true. Yeah. As much as I'm like, oh, it could be cool to inherit a business that's already done for me. Like you say, doing something that you don't want to do. It's like, no.
It's too much work.
Might as well just get a job that you hate as well. It's the same kind of thing.
Right.
Okay. Would you rather take a financial risk that could make you a billionaire, but might also make you bankrupt, or stick to a safe but modest lifestyle?
Nope. Risk.
Really?
100% every day. 100%, yeah. That's what I'm doing now.
That is what you're doing now. So I kind of thought you might go with that anyway. Yeah. And then the last one, would you rather receive a large amount of money that you're not allowed to spend on yourself, or a small amount with no restrictions on how you can spend it?
Large. I don't spend it on myself anyway.
Yeah?
I don't do any spending on myself.
Okay, yeah, I think I'd like to say I'd go with that too. Yeah. Spend it on the kids and stuff. So I'll take that too. Okay, cool. Thanks for playing.
You're welcome. That was fun. I thought it was going to be more scary. But
No. Just a little light-hearted game before we dive into the next part of the conversation, which is a segment that I call Not Another Money Moment. So this is Not Another Money Podcast. And what I like to do is ask my guests to share a significant money moment from their life. So it could be from childhood, adulthood, any kind of money moment that's had an impact on you some way in regards to how you view money.
Something that's impacted how I view money. I think would be the recent investment. And the reason why
How much was the recent investment, sorry?
20,000 we got from Dean Forbes. And I, without having had that investment, would have been so excited. I'm like, gosh, 20,000 is a huge amount of money. Now I'm running a business. I'm realising that 20,000 could be gone in seconds. And it's made me really appreciate and kind of contextualise money in the context of running a business, and also really plan, if I want investment, how much I genuinely need. I would probably, before that experience, have said, oh yeah, 50k will be fine, 100k. No, if I'm going to have serious investment that's going to make impact, I need like 250, 300k, like to really make a mark and to actually move the needle. And that context perspective only came when
Once you had that money.
Because I was like, yeah.
Once I get that, I'm finished. Yeah, like, I'm gone. I'm
No.
Do big
That put it in very big context that this is nothing.
Okay. Oh no, that's amazing. Yeah. No, well, more investments to come, obviously. Bigger ones with a few more zeros on the end.
100%.
Yeah.
Speak
No, it's
that into
definitely
being.
coming. Okay, cool. No, thanks for sharing that. Okay,
Yes.
so the next segment is the main heart of the conversation,
Okay.
of course. So now we're going to delve a little bit more into your stories. And some people could hear your story and think, wow, an overnight success.
Yeah.
But people don't appreciate the journey it's taken to become that overnight success. Like they say, I think they say it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, right? So we only ever see the mountaintop and we don't see what it's taken to get to that mountaintop. So what I want to do now is kind of go back a little bit to the beginning of your story before we then get to the amazing things that you've done with the vegan patty lady. Yeah. So let's go back to your childhood, right?
Okay.
Take us back to what your family experience was like when it comes to finances and your earliest memories of money in your finances and how that played a part in how you view money.
I've always remembered working. So I've had a paper round from when I was very young. I went straight from the paper round into working in the supermarket. And anybody remembers Quick Save?
Oh my gosh,
A long time ago, no
long.
frills. Yeah. So I went straight from there working. And when I went into college, I was doing YTS and then worked every single holiday. When I've been in university, I've worked my entire life. That's what I know how to do. So I think my experience of money, if I'm really honest, has been scarcity. Like, it's never been something that we've had an abundance of. So my general perspective is you just got to keep working. You just got to keep going. But that's the history. I'm changing that perspective now, but it's a challenge because, coming from that, my perspective, always kind of just always having to grind to get what you need.
And is that your parents, what kind of work were they doing at the time? Were they like working a lot? That's why you thought, I need to kind of do things for myself.
Yeah, I think my parents have always worked. That's what the model that I've always seen. No, they've never really well, actually my dad did have a full-time job and then he used to fix TVs and other electrical items. So he's always had a bit of both. My mum's just had her main job. But yeah, I've always seen them to be workers.
And then you decided to pursue initially a career in teaching, right? So what made you decide to go down that path?
Teaching was an accident because I originally wanted to be a lawyer.
And
then
really?
I flunked my law A-level, like, majorly. Don't even want to say the grade. I didn't even know that grade existed.
Oh, stop it.
So I had acceptances for universities in Birmingham for law degrees and then didn't get in because I just completely messed up my results. So I ended up having to go through clearing and I literally took any place that could give me a university place, and that was in London after I'd originally planned to stay in Birmingham, and that was to do English and social sciences. So I was like, what am I going to do with English? Okay, let me just teach. So it was purely accidental, but so grateful for that journey because the teaching, I would say, massively plays into the ability to me to do what I do now, like being able to perform, present, to captivate teenagers. That's a skill set that has, lent itself very well into pitching and stuff like that.
So talk to us a little bit about your career in teaching then. What was it like? Like, were you primary school, secondary school?
Yeah.
And what kind of positions did you have?
So I was a
teaching?
secondary school teacher. I moved, I think, 18 months after my first ever role into a pupil referral unit. So it was dealing with very, very vulnerable, very challenging children very quickly on. Always had an amazing relationship with young people. that was, that was evident in that first role. And then as I went through, but it made me realise that I wanted to be working with vulnerable people. So when I went into mainstream education, I went into pastoral roles. So I started in head of year, head of house, and stayed in that kind of vulnerable space. Eventually to senior management, I was assistant head teacher with responsibility for behaviour, and then safeguarding lead. So all my roles in teaching have kind of been pastoral, caring for the more vulnerable children.
Okay. And at one point in your career, you climbed all the way to the top, right?
Yeah.
You made it to, was it
Assistant head teacher,
assistant
yeah,
head teacher,
yeah.
which is incredible achievement because you did that at quite a young age as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What was that like, being able to get into such a role? And what made you even think to go for such a role? Because a lot of people, career-wise, they get to a ceiling in their head that they
Yeah.
think they can't go beyond, particularly thinking, oh, I'm black, or I'm, do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? I'm a female. I can't possibly go for such a position. What made you have that audaciousness, number one, to even go for such a role? And then what was your experience like doing that role?
I think I'm just very ambitious anyway, but I wanted to be a head teacher. To me, I hadn't got anywhere near because it's assistant head teacher, then deputy head, then head, which some people don't get because assistant sounds more like you're closer to
It
the
does,
headship. But it's assistant is less kind of responsibility. But I originally planned to be a head teacher, and it was because I wanted to have more influence. I felt like, you're just a small fry. You can't do anything. You literally just have to follow suit. And I didn't really like the way many managers ran the school, and just wanted to do it my way, have a Christian school, have my own school. But that went sour at some point, but I'll explain. Not cool.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Not cool eventually. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about that not cool eventually. And before we do that, actually, how long were you in the head? In fact, let's go back. How long, career-wise, were you teaching before you stepped into the assistant head role?
So I took a break when I had my second child, so in 2008. So I think I'd taught then for nearly 10, I'm not good at math, I think it was nearly 20 years at that point. No, 1999 was my first role. Yeah, so 9 years when I took my first break. I had a career break because when I had my first child, there was no break. That's a long story, but I ended up having to go back to work when my baby was like 6 weeks old. I
6
will
weeks?
never do that again.
Wow.
Yes, it was awful. Long story, I can't even get into that now.
That's a conversation for another day.
Another day's conversation, but I said I will never do that again. I've missed out on some really key moments. So when my son was born, I took a break out of teaching, had my third child. So that break, I went back to school when he went to nursery when he was, I think, about 6 months old. So I went back in 2010 and then stayed in teaching and then eventually left in 2014.
Okay, amazing. So as much as you're comfortable with sharing, what was your experience like in that assistant head role?
Yeah, it was very challenging. Part of what I said earlier about not liking the way other leaders manage, I started to see the system as very corrupt, very much all about the results, all about the statistics, not about the children. And when I was trying to advocate for the children and trying to say, these children need investment, resources, you're just literally carting them off into this room and just saying, yeah, well, it is what it is. And I'm like, they're damaged. They need they need like therapy, and you just ignoring them. And it got really hairy. There was children that, were self-harming. And I was just saying, you can't just minimize these behaviors. And when I saw the response was just really bad, there was a whole leadership thing going on. There was lots of redundancies being made and lots of decisions and bullying going on. And I eventually said, for my health, I need to leave this job. When I left, I had no job to go to. I didn't care. I was just like, I want to be alive. I have 3 kids and I'm caring for everybody else's kids. And I got kids of my own that I need their mum. My hair fell out. I had an ulcer. I was depressed. I think I had 6 months off. I'd never had days off in my entire school career prior to that, other than when I had surgery on my throat. And it was just a whole new world. But I realised at that point that my career was not more important than my life. And I just said, I'm not doing it. So I left, and I took a job that everybody was like so shocked in the interview. They were like, is there any grievances, or are there any? They were like, why
are you coming here?
From assistant head teacher to attendance officer, checking registers. I was like, listen, baby. And I said it. I said, I value my mental health and my life more than money, because I took a pay cut of over 50% to go there. And they were like, I said, I don't care.
Wow.
So it was crazy, a crazy time. But yeah, I'm glad.
Very brave of you, though.
Well, do you know what? There was no brave. I was felt like I was running for my life. I was like, I'm out of there. It was awful, and people didn't understand it. But when you're in that space where you just literally, I was rock bottom, and I couldn't, like most people didn't know. I only spoken about it when I was well out of it, like when it kind of had healed a bit, because it was just awful. And then when I left there, it was all part of God's plan anyway, because going into that role, I had my SLT body on anyway, so I came in, I was like, I'm not just going to be an attendance officer, I'm changing your whole school attendance processes. So they allowed me to do it, because they were like, we've got an extra SLT that we're paying
peanuts for.
Literally, they just let me do what I wanted. I created policies, I created structures, I transformed their attendance, I brought in, I was like, yeah, I'm in my element, and that enabled me to get applied for the role that I got in the local authority, which has been game changing. So it was like God set me up. It was like, yeah, you think you're going lower, but you're going.
That's the thing. Nothing is wasted.
Nothing is wasted. It was such a major move, because had I not been in this role, I would not have had the capacity to do what I've done with the vegan patty lady. Never. Because being in school full time, you're like in prison. Like I didn't even have time to go to the bank. Like I didn't have time to live. I was in school like 12 hours a day.
But now you have all that flexibility, and just because you made that decision at that pivotal moment, and crazy. I say it was brave, because many people wouldn't do what you did, even though I know you said you was like at rock bottom. Some people won't see another way out. It's like, I'm stuck here because I need that money. You know, my expenses are at whatever amount. If I take this pay cut, how am I going to be able to afford to feed my 3 children? But you put yourself first in terms of your mental 100%. Health and making sure you could be there physically,
be alive for your kids.
Children.
Yeah, we'll survive.
Yeah, but that's a sacrifice many would want to make but not be able to make, because financially it's not viable, and just because as well, it's the humbling of it. It's not even a word, but 100%. For you to step away from that position, not even just the money, the position and the prestige that it comes with, to say, no, I'm gonna go from being up there to down there, basically. Not to minimise what anyone 100%. Does, but do you know what I mean?
Literally.
That showed your humility, which is why now, fast forward a few years later, you are where you are. It's because you was able to be that lower person. And it's like, now God's put you on this pedestal, so it's amazing.
Yeah.
I guess you've kind of talked about this a little bit anyway, but if there's anything else you want to share in terms of looking back at that season and how it shaped your views of work-life balance and doing what is fulfilling, how would you say it?
Yeah, definitely. As I said, I've realised that the most important thing is your health. Health over wealth anytime. And, you know, even though I work really hard now, I'm still mindful. If I feel like I'm exhausted and need to stop, I do stop. I do believe that God gives me a supernatural grace where I should be tired and I'm not. But I do recognise that there's nothing, money doesn't compare to health.
That's amazing. And I guess the biggest lesson that you take away that you still carry today would be about the fact that your health is the most important thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Amazing. Okay, so then while you was a successful teacher, climbing the school ranks, I don't know how you call it, but climbing the ladder of school systems, you were also building another business alongside that, weren't you? You was building No Cakes Are Better. So can you tell us a little bit more about that story and how you started that business and why you started that business?
Yeah, so I started that when I was on maternity leave, really. I made a cake or two for my niece and just family members, and I kind of just loved the response. Everyone was like, oh, I'm very artistic, I've always been arty, and you know, I'd never done it in edible form, but it came natural to me to be creative. So I decided to make my niece a second birthday cake in the shape of a character, and it was just like everybody's like, wow, so cool, and I was just like, yeah, I like that. So I was inspired to just make a few cakes for people, and then people started saying, oh, you should charge for this, make this in business, you're good at it. So again, an accidental business, but that's where it started and developed quickly after that.
So you was doing that for how long, the cake business?
So 2009 is where it first got established after making the first cake when my niece was 2. So I think it was 2008. So I officially registered the business 2009. So I think I halted when I went back into education because I just found the two hard to kind of do alongside each other. But when I went back into that admin role, I picked it back up again.
Yeah.
So in 2014, I picked it back up again, and then I was able to kind of manage
Balance
it because
it.
it was less demanding. Yeah.
Amazing. And so what were some of the highlights of this time when you were running that business?
Yeah, it was amazing. The highlights kind of the business lent itself into a coaching business, which enabled me to get a really good turnover. I think at one point we did 6 US figures. I have to clarify that.
Yeah.
But we really were able to build that business to what more than what most cake bakers make, and it was a successful business. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, amazing. You've gone ahead of some of my questions, but it's
Yeah.
fine. We'll go on to that shortly.
Yeah.
Talk about your amazing business that you
Yeah.
did, Baker Squad.
Yes.
Because, yeah, it was incredible. I remember following that journey and
Yeah.
just being so inspired by your
Yeah.
content and how quick the platform was just growing and how
Yeah.
much ladies were behind it. Like, what do they call
Yeah.
themselves? The
The
ladies?
squaddies.
The squaddies, yeah. The squaddies were
Yeah.
just like ride or dies. It was amazing.
Yeah,
at
they're
that
still
time.
there.
Yeah. Oh, bless them.
Yeah.
But they've just crossed over to the vegan patties. Yeah. That's what you call a
Yeah.
loyal following.
Yep, they're still here.
Going back to your business,
Yes.
No Cakes Are Better.
Yes.
During that journey, there came a time when you had a realization in terms of the income that business was generating, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how that came about?
Yeah, I used to charge like £25 for cakes, and people would complain, and I was looking at the cost of the ingredients and just thinking, okay, as long as I cover the cost of the ingredients and add a little bit more, then I've made a profit. But it wasn't until I think I went to an event and there was a lady called Kibi Springer that was there, and she asked me what my numbers were. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I didn't even have any concept of what she was talking about. When she started broaching into it, I was just like, numbers? Do I really know my numbers? And when I started looking at what was actually coming in and the other costs, overheads that I was covering and not paying myself, I said, I'm working for free. I was so horrified. I was like, this is disgraceful. And I charged more than most of the other bakers. I was like, this is a madness. This is crazy. So I said, from today, those prices are going up, and I didn't care because I was like, I am not doing all that hard work and actually doing it for free.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
just
wow.
not
So straight
happening.
away you made the
Immediate.
application.
I was
Wow.
like, this is robbery. I'm not robbing myself, because baking cakes and decorating cakes is hard. It's midnight hours work. It's to do one cake. People complain about prices of cake, but they would never work for the hourly rate that bakers work for. When they take off all the extra costs and they see the rate of pay, nobody would work for that. And then they're like, this is too expensive. I'm just like, that's good for you, because I'm not working for less than £10 an hour.
Yeah.
And in many cases, people are working like £3, £5 an hour if they
Wow.
charge what they,
I can imagine though, because a lot of work goes into making a
Yes.
bespoke cake.
Yes.
Just the baking a cake
Yeah.
alone takes time.
And-
Then
yeah.
you've got buying the ingredients,
and
then you've got decorating,
and then the
it's
cleaning
a skill.
up. Yes.
Oh my gosh, and then
it's
the cleaning
hard.
up.
It's hours and
Yeah.
hours. And if you think about it, most people are horrified to pay 150, and if you take out the £60, £50 if you're lucky for the ingredients, the board, the box, all the decorations, all of that, then you're left with, okay, you're going to get £100 out of that for what's probably taking you 17, 18 hours.
Wow.
Who's doing that?
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing it.
That's the thing. People don't appreciate
They
the
don't
labour.
appreciate
They
the
don't appreciate the time it
the
takes to do it.
research,
It's
all
just a
that
cake.
stuff. It's just a cake.
Go to Tesco and buy a cake then.
Right. If it's just a cake, go and buy the cheap one, because I'm not doing that.
Because you know it's not just a cake. You
Yeah.
like my cake.
And
you
the
like my
skill
stuff.
of me being able to do
Exactly.
it quicker than 20 hours is because of the investment of the time. So you pay for that.
Then you have to pay for that, yeah.
Right. So yeah.
So then what was the response like from your clients at the time when you just decided to increase your prices?
Yeah,
and was it
didn't-
quite a steep increase?
Yeah, it was at least 100% for most
Oh,
cases.
wow.
Yeah, so I had to do a nice little video, and I explained, and I just said,
Oh, no way, did
yeah,
you?
I said, guys, I know you love me, I know you love my cake, and you would hate for me to work free of charge, but basically that's what's happening. I am not making any money. In fact, I'm making a loss. I'm paying you to make your cake, and I really can't afford to do that anymore. So these are my prices. What I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to give you a 50%. I've raised my prices with immediate effect. I'll give you a 50% discount on your next order if you pay for it in advance. Now, you got up to this date to order your cakes for the next year if you want it at that price. And after that, that's it. So those 50% discounts gave them the last chance to buy it at my original pricing. I said, it is what it is. You can go or you can stay.
Yeah.
Most of them stayed.
See?
And came back when I took my break and came back. And they were like, we missed your cake.
See?
So, yeah.
So it was you not seeing the value in what you were doing as opposed to it not being good. Yeah.
100%.
That's a message to people listening. Like, you have to charge your worth.
Yeah.
Charge what you're worth.
And those who are willing to pay,
And they will.
they will pay.
Do you know, I've fallen for that so many times with like
Yeah.
brand partnerships where I think I've come with a big price. I straight away, they're like, yeah, for sure. I'm like, oh man, I've undersold myself here clearly,
Literally,
because
yeah.
I'm there thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to say
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
And then they reply straight away like, yeah, that's fine. Send your invoice. I'm
Exactly.
like, oh
Too
no,
low. You
I've
went too low.
definitely gone too low. And then when you speak to other people in
Yeah.
the industry, you realize, oh no,
Yeah.
you're actually getting violated.
Literally.
Charge what you're worth. You were able to increase your prices
Yes.
by 100%, you said.
Yes.
That takes a lot of courage. That takes
Yeah.
a lot of boldness. Like, what mental shift did you have to go through for you to be able to go from charging what you're charging to charging that 100% more? Like, because I don't know, for me, it would have been like, oh my gosh, like, people are not going to pay. Like, what was it that made
I
you?
did think they probably wouldn't pay, but I think the shift just happened quite quickly when I realised I'm making no money. Like, zero money, and actually it's costing me, like, and so I just thought, this is rubbish. I can't do something that's a hobby that is costing me money when I'm thinking I've got a business. So it's either a hobby or it's a business. If it's a business, I have to charge. If it's a hobby, it's fine, but it's not a hobby. I'm trying to make money here. So I was just like, yeah, it was, you know, I'm definitely a recovering, I think recovered now, but there's some still people pleasing that times that want to come. So I did feel like, oh, they're not going to like me, they're going to be angry. But I was just like, be angry and go elsewhere. So because I'd rather not work for free. So.
Oh, no, I hear it. That's
Yeah.
amazing that you was able to make that
Yeah.
mental shift, because so many people will still remain in that
Yeah.
space knowing that they're working for free, but thinking, I can't possibly
Yeah, 'cause
charge
no one's
more
gonna
because
pay
no
it.
one's going to pay it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's because they probably wouldn't pay it, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm not the kind of, that's why I'm glad I can do it for myself, because I'm not paying somebody £300 for the cake that I want. I know it's worth it, but I'm not paying it because I don't have it like that at the
Yeah.
moment. I will do, but I still would not want to pay that. But anyway, that's another question.
Yeah, so I think that's what it is. So
Yeah.
I think people feel sometimes like they're ripping people off, even though you're not, because
You're not.
like you said, you need to be paid for your time, right?
Absolutely.
Time is money. So you're
Absolutely.
spending your time, so you need to be compensated
Exactly.
for it. So no, I totally hear that. Okay, cool. So then you mentioned it briefly a moment ago
Yeah.
about you turning over six figures,
Yeah.
US dollars,
Yeah.
doesn't matter, it's still six figures. Let's not underplay it. You were able to turn over six
Yeah.
figures in your business because you made a shift. Can you tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that shift in the business and what inspired that?
Yeah, so the shift came because I was horrified that I already knew I charged a lot more than my counterparts. And I was like, I'm being robbed. The hell, I'm like, what are they doing? I was like, I have to tell them. So I literally just started saying, guys, you would never believe. Look, if you do this, and you work at this, like, so I was literally like trying to just convince them to charge more. So it just started with just me sharing my experiences and what I'd learned, and just trying to encourage them to do more. And they were like so encouraged, so inspired. And I was like, guys, I'm rooting for you. And I was like, this is kind of like I'm coaching here. So I never saw myself as a coach until somebody said, I will pay you to teach me. Like, and she said, I get paid in February and I'm booking it. I said, for how, what? I was like, again, another accidental business. I had no plans to be no coach. But she came with her coins, mate. And she's like, yeah. So she was my first coaching client. And I suddenly realised this was a business, and it developed and developed. And the one-to-one coaching and the group coaching, all of that, that is what brought in the revenue that enabled that business to grow to that level.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
That was Baker Squad. So that was basically came from you serving, right? You
Yeah,
were serving
literally.
other people, and they were like, oh my gosh, I need more of this. And it was able to grow. And I think that's a big thing when it comes to business, right? The more people you're able to serve, the more needs you're able to meet,
Absolutely.
the more money you're going to make. And
Yeah.
that's what you was able to do so clearly with
one
the
to many
Baker
model.
Squad. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
No, that's amazing. Okay, so what were some of the standout highlights for you at your time running a Baker's Squad? I guess obviously hitting six figures would have been a big part of
Yeah.
it, right? Beyond that, anything else that you'd say stood out as a highlight, or what you enjoyed most about that time running that business?
It was seeing other people's businesses thrive and seeing that through what they'd learned in, the academy. Initially it was called NTLB Academy, then the Baker Squad. Seeing what they'd learned in that space and were able to implement, the confidence that they grew to charge more. And like we have our own WhatsApp group, and I had to exit, but they kept the group because I was just like,
amazing.
I can't stay here and like give up my time in that way. So you guys, they kept it. They still message each other, and some of them, as I said,
love
have moved
that.
over to a different space that I kind of have now. But they literally just seeing their success and them thriving and being confident to charge. That was amazing to see.
Yeah, that's amazing. And any testimonials or any standout ones that you can think of off the top of your head? I'm putting you on the spot here, but
many that went on to create their own communities,
Oh,
their
wow.
own classes. They've set up their own classes, making money. I don't know if any of them ever left. Well, a couple did leave their job to do it, but
wow.
they kind of, I think, have gone back to work. So I'm not. They did at one point, but it's not haven't sustained it. But I think just seeing, there's no standout moments in particular other than them being able to replicate what I was
you
doing.
did. Charge what they
And
were
charge
worth.
what they were, create their own communities, teaching their own spaces. And
That's amazing. So then talk to people listening right now that maybe have a hobby that they are monetizing, or so they think they're monetizing, right? But they're actually working for free essentially, but they don't realize it. Like, what advice would you give to anybody right now in that space where they're running a passion project and they're monetizing it but not really making money with it?
I would tell them to make that decision in their mind, draw the line. Do I want it to be a business or do I want it to be a hobby? If they want it to be a business, I would ask them to seriously consider what they would need to change in order to make it profitable. So everybody knows that businesses are not profitable overnight. That's not the magic. There's no magic one deciding, yes. But you got to have a plan to get to profitability. So I would say look at what you're doing, and that's why with many of my cakers, I said unless you are able to scale, you're never gonna make profit just from doing the cakes unless you've massively changed your markup. So you've got to think of a scalable model, but also some other revenue streams that you can bring in to make it a profitable business. I would tell people to really reflect. What am I doing? How much money am I generating? And in order to be profitable, what would I need to change? And do that, unless you're doing a hobby.
Okay, that's good advice. Good advice.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here, I'm working on my side business, and at the moment I feel like I'm just working and not really making money. I need to do something differently. I need to sit down and I need to put pen to paper and I need to write a plan. I need to write a plan, reflect on what I've been doing, and make a plan as to how things can
Absolutely.
differently.
Yeah.
And I think something else that you mentioned there, which I think is really good, is looking at ways to multiply your income streams
Yeah.
from that one skill that you have, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is what you demonstrated beautifully with the
Right.
Bakers Club and
Yeah.
No Cakes Are Better.
Yeah,
You had the skill of baking, and then you took that skill of baking, and now you help other people with their baking business
Yeah.
and started a whole community. We're
Yeah.
able to do coaching, all of that
You
off the
could
back of
do
your
the
skill.
exact same with this, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's so much scope for that.
That's good advice.
Conversation.
Oh, you saying it to me for
Yeah,
mine?
for you.
Okay, we'll have that
100%.
conversation offline. Yeah. No, but I'm thinking for these people are doing their side hustles, and that's great advice. And it's true, as you're saying it, it's making me think about my own platform and the work that I do. But yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Okay, so I hope you guys are taking note as you're listening to write a plan, because it's good timing as well. I'm not sure when this episode is going to come out, but as we're coming towards the end of the year, starting a new year, it's time to really think about, okay, what have I been doing up until now? Does this make sense? If it doesn't, what can you do to actually monetize what you're doing properly? Okay, no, it's good advice. Thank you. Okay, so you ran the Baker Squad for a number of years again after No Cakes Are Better. You were doing them both simultaneously at one point, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And so then, while you were running those two businesses, as if that wasn't enough, working a full-time job, being a wife, being a mother, running 3 businesses, you was doing it all at the same time. You then decided to find another business venture, right?
Yeah.
Which is the main topic that we want to talk about today, or the main business that we want to speak about today. And that's your most recent project, which is the vegan patty lady. Yes, promo the t-shirt, you got straight to the camera, like, yep. Lovely. I like the jumper, it's cute. I need one. So you founded the vegan patty lady. Now, I remember on WhatsApp, because we have each other's numbers, I was on your WhatsApp and I saw you posted yourself trying to make these patties. You were like, oh my gosh, I have such a craving for patties and I want to make a patty. And then you were just trialing it error at home, and you did it and it came out nice. And I remember you eating it and you were like, oh my gosh, this actually tastes nice. And even me, I'm not vegan, I saw that and I was like, oh, that does look nice.
Yeah.
How did you go from that to now all of a sudden you have a whole new business venture?
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, this is why I've learnt over my journey, like you said, nothing is wasted, obedience. And when God told me to literally start making that patty monetizable, because I had no plans to do it. I was actually in the process of marketing Father's Day at that time. Yeah, amazing. And nobody was looking at my Father's Day cupcake. And then they were asking me about patty. Do you sell the patty? I was like, hey, you didn't see the cupcakes. When did I tell you I'm making?
Oh, the Father's Day cakes. You wanted them to buy. Okay.
Go back to the previous status and look at the Father's Day. Nobody's even blinking on that. I was like, anyway. So after the 20th person said, do you sell these? I said,
Wow.
Let me just go back. God said, you will sell it and you're going to start it as a business. So I said, okay, let's go. So I made my little Zettle link and I started selling. So like, right, 3 patties for £6, 3 little ones. And people bought it. I said, I said, I thought nobody would buy it. I was like, if you want to taste it, I decided to sell it. And when people started ordering it, I said, this is interesting. God said, trademark it, get a website. Like literally, this is about 2 weeks in.
No.
And I did it. And I'm so glad I did it, because I did not know where it was going to go. I literally thought it was going to be to friends and families. It was like, trademark it, get a website, get a logo. You need to move fast. And so I was obedient.
Wow. And what we're missing from your story is a bit more of a backstory, just because I know the story and I don't want the listeners to miss out on the prominent part of it.
Yeah.
You even going vegan was divine in itself, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I was doing a fast, which was a Daniel fast, where you just fast. It's a biblical Christian kind of thing. And I was literally vegan it was meant to be just 1 month. And that was an instruction from God to do that. And when I was so excited counting down for this fast to be done, because I was like, I want my oxtail. I was off sweeties and coffee and everything. I was like, I can't wait for this to be finished. And when he said, you're going to stay vegan, I nearly cried. I was like, I don't want to, please. Why? What's wrong with it? You said we can bless everything and eat it. I was arguing with God. And he was like, no, you're going to stay vegan. So I
And you heard it clear.
I heard it
as day.
100% clear as day. I was vexed, but I was like, okay. And I did it. And it was the revelation of the health what's the word, benefits rather, that I really was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad God told me to stay vegan, because I was very asthmatic. I had an inhaler in every place, handbag, car, everywhere, because if I ran or exerted myself too much, I needed to take my inhaler. So when I realised that I'd run to the post office, I say, I can breathe. It was so noticeable, because anytime I run, I'm like, where's my inhaler? I was like, I just ran from here to here and I'm not wheezing. I said, X. I tried it again. I said, let me test it.
And you went to go run again?
I did. I was like, it's gone. That's how I Googling. Well, is there a correlation between vegan diet? And I saw that it is very, very much proven that dairy contributes to breathing difficulties and eczema and asthma. I said, So I was like, this is why you told me to go vegan. Okay, thank you, God. I'm healed from asthma. Praise the Lord. And so I thought it was just that. But what I realised is the pain that I was going to experience as a vegan, not being able to find nice food, was what led me to the prompt to start the vegan patties, because I was like, I can't be dealing with this bland, dead food for any longer. I was so frustrated. Every time I went out, I was like barely eating the salad or whatever sides was on the menu, because most of the mains were just non-vegan or nasty. I don't like wet mushrooms and I don't like wet aubergine. Everything was that, or chickpeas. It's like, it's only so much chickpeas you can have before you turn into a chickpea. So I was just like, I can't. So that was the frustration that led me to create something that I liked, and didn't realise there's such a gap in the market. It was like God just literally orchestrated everything. So yeah, I'm so excited.
So amazing. Yeah, no, that's why I was like, we can't skip over that part of the story,
that was
because
cool.
had you not become vegan, you
Yeah.
never would have been making vegan
Literally.
patties at home. So there's a message there to listen when God is speaking.
And even the recipe, like, I've never made pastry before, and literally the download came was just, so I Googled how you make pastry, but how you make patty pastry, but the filling, obviously there's nobody's ever made vegan patties tasting like meat. Nobody's ever done that, so I didn't know what I was doing. So I was like, okay. He said, put this stop, literally like that. What? I was literally, and for the first few times I didn't measure nothing. So when I had to write it down to say I need to make sure I remember it, I was like, how much is this? And he's like, you go stop. Yeah, that's the amount. It was crazy. Wow. And then when it came to the other flavours, he's like, yeah, you're gonna make chicken and fish. I said, so beef, chicken and fish. Is like, yeah, I'll give you the recipe for those as well. And I literally had divine downloads. Wow. It was crazy.
Okay, so this is a bit of a deviation from the conversation, but I have to ask, because for those that are listening right now, that are on the edge of their seats thinking, wait, now I need some of this. Like, how are you getting these downloads that I'm not getting? Yeah. How do you get these downloads?
Do you know what? It started in lockdown. I started hearing God speak audibly, because in lockdown, I suddenly managed to have time to, when I was working full time, I have time to be doing big prayers in the mornings, like, yes, thank you, Jesus, as I'm getting ready, yes, bless the Lord Jesus for having this day, and that was it. In lockdown, God really prompted me, and that was when I did that that fast as well. It was in that period, I think. Actually, it was because lockdown came in 2020, but I'd started praying before in that period, and then in the lockdown I had more time to spend with God. And it was in those moments I realised, the Bible says if you draw close to God, he draws close to you. And I'm telling you now, you start routinely spending time with God, he's waiting to speak to you. He's like, yay, she's here, literally. And I was getting downloads. I was turning to the Baker Squad, and literally I was just sharing, this is another download. When I used to do my lives every week, it was downloads. Like, God was giving me business downloads to share with them and inspiration. And so I started hearing audibly, like, his voice from then. And then now I hear it, like, for everything. Wow. It's like, it's just everything. Like, yeah, stop, no, don't do that. I'm just like, really? And people would think you're mad, but I'm telling you, it's very real. Because you can see the fruit of listening. So yeah, I'm glad, because it means that I feel like I can confidently just keep walking, and I know he'll just redirect me if I'm going in the wrong way. So I just listen out for the correction.
That's amazing. And I guess, yeah, so those listening, the main thing you need to do is make time for God.
Make
Because he will make
time.
time for you.
Absolutely.
So when in the busyness of, always up and down, always got so much to do, you're not giving yourself time to actually hear from him. And that's the thing, a lot of times the conversations are one way, right?
Yeah.
Just talking to God and then you're
Literally.
out. If you were having that same conversation with your spouse or your friend, you wouldn't do that. You would wait for them to respond,
exactly.
right? You wouldn't
So
just
that's
be
why I
talking
have
at them.
to wake up 4 a.m. because
Sorry, say that again?
I wake up at 4 a.m. Yeah, every day apart from the weekends, and I wake up at 7. Yeah, otherwise I won't have time. So I wake up at 4 a.m.
Wow.
And until 5:30 is prayer and
you've been doing this for a while, because before it was like 3:30 or something crazy like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, we changed it to 4 a.m. But it was it's been years that I've been doing that, and that's where it's born out of.
Well, yeah, and I guess you'll be excited to get up because you're
exactly,
because
I know I'm gonna and it's amazing. Like honestly, you get a buzz, like, and you can't wait. Because you just, the feeling, it's amazing. Like, I would encourage people, try it. Give yourself 6 months to try and see what you get.
No, amazing. No, thanks for sharing that. Because as you were talking, I was like, no, I need to actually ask this because someone listening is going to be like, how did she do that? So now you know, you've been given a blueprint, but it's up to you to kind of do something with that information. 100%. Yeah, exactly. Okay, amazing. So, vegan patties, back to that again.
Yeah.
So you had the download and it was like, you're going to turn this into a business, but you already had a business and you had a job and you had all the other things we've spoken about, right? So how were you able to do that and do everything else at the time?
Yeah, I struggled for a bit. I started in July and in the October, God said, you're going to stop. So I was like...
Stop what?
Everything. He said, no baker squad, no cake business. And I said, that's all the money that I need. So if we stop that, I'm not making enough money from patties. It's like, you do not have the capacity to do what I'm going to need you to do if you're doing both of those. So you just need to stop. So he said, go live so that you can't go back on it. Go live and tell everybody you're stopping. I was like, I've still got that live saved. And the day that I did that, I was just about to go into a networking event. And the people that I met in that event, it's been a game changer since that day. And I was like, thank you, Lord. I know why you said it now.
Wait, sorry, I just need to go back a second. Yeah. So this business that was turning over 6 figures, God told you to stop it.
Yeah.
And you're going to make patties that you just started making how long ago?
In July, and then I got told to stop in October,
So a few months, 3 months. Stop everything that you've built. You've worked all these years to build.
To do patties.
To make patties.
That you've never done before.
Wow. Okay, so in that moment, how were you feeling in that moment? Like,
in that moment, I felt...
Were you wrestling at all?
You felt like what I felt like Abraham felt like when he was told to
sacrifice Isaac.
And I think I used that analogy. I just said, I feel like I'm killing my child. Like, this is... I've worked so hard for this. But I was like, I put it up on the altar, and I feel like God was like, I just wanted to see if he was going to do it.
Wow.
Because guess what? He resurrected that baby, that dead baby that I fought for my daughter.
Oh my God.
So Isaac didn't get to kill his kid. I actually killed my kid.
Yeah.
But he did say that he knew, like the commentary says that he knew that if God told him to kill the child, he'll bring it back to life.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was going to happen, but I'm telling you.
You still did that sacrifice
oh my
anyway.
gosh, I'm getting chills. But that was like, when I saw that, my daughter randomly is suddenly able to do cakes. She's had wedding cakes.
Oh my God, I didn't even have this on my thing. But no, tell us about it. Tell us the story, please.
Like, she literally I asked her, like, she's helped me with cupcakes before when I'm busy. And I knew she had a flair because she could do the swirl and everything. And I would give her the recipe with the cupcakes. When we went away from her dad's 50th, we were landing back on his birthday. And I said, I don't have time to make cake. So I baked the cake before I left. Please, can you just try and decorate it? Just make it look pretty, please. So I left her. When I came back, I said, you got some talent here. This is good. So she was so proud and, happy. And then I think that must have encouraged her. So when her friends had birthdays, she started making these little heart cakes that, kids are having nowadays. I said, Hannah, this looks very, very good. You're doing really well. And whatever inspiration, she started doing these for free for her friends. And then somebody said they wanted to pay her. I said, you could have a business out of this. And I don't know what it is, because I've never had her in the kitchen with me when I'm doing big cakes. I don't like anybody in the kitchen. But clearly she must have seen, some way or form, because she had her first wedding cake in October. She did
Weddings already?
3-tier wedding cake she had in October after doing her first cake in August.
And you didn't make it for her?
I did not make it for her. I didn't help her with the decorating. I did nothing. Like, she's done all of this herself. She's had several orders since then, including corporate order for Young Mary of Lewisham. And I didn't think she was going to... It was you that told me to tell her to take it over. I was like, she's not going to want to do that. And then she said, yeah, I will. I'll take it.
So incredible. Because I remember when you posted on your WhatsApp that she made all these cakes. I said, no way.
Yes.
This same business that God told you to stop, now your daughter's going to do it.
I'm telling you.
And she's actually taking it over.
And she's taking it over and doing good. She's doing so
incredible.
good. Yeah.
Nothing is wasted.
I'm
You see,
telling
nothing
you,
is actually
nothing is
wasted.
wasted.
So going back to a part of your story, because I literally cut you off, but I want to make sure I don't leave people on a cliffhanger. You said it was the best decision you made because you went to a networking event that changed everything.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I met some real key buyers in that event that we, are in conversations with now, and I can't go into details, but I met them there and they got to taste the patties there. And I went there not as a what's it called again, a vendor or anything. I just asked him, can I bring a few patties with me? I bought my air fryer, and he said,
you didn't go there but you went with them with the
I went with
fryer.
the air fryer because I was like, they need to taste it. Because he said, I've got a caterer. He said, I don't want to step on her toes. I said, it's fine. I said, as they're going out, I'll just give them patties to go as they're going out with my little business card. So I just put my air fryer in the back and just turned it on as they're going out and warming up. And I met some key players who got to taste the patties, who love the patties, and he's just basically said from then he will have me sponsor the events going forward. So I've been at every event with all these buyers, all getting in, like, it's been incredible. So
that is amazing.
Like,
so there's a lesson here. There's so many lessons from the story, but just from what you said there, the lesson there was always be ready.
Always be ready.
Always be ready, because always be ready, and don't take no for an answer. Because just because the person said, "Oh no, we've already got a caterer, we don't want to step on anybody's toes." Most people would be like, "Okay, fine, I'll just come to the event anyway." But you're like, "No, they're gonna taste these patties, and I'm gonna find a way." So where there's a will, there's always a way, and you've shown that in that example. That's amazing.
Amazing, so exciting.
It's incredible. That is incredible. This journey so far has been incredible. I don't think I even mentioned in your bio description at the beginning the amount of stores you're in as well. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
So we are in our first retail location was Nisa in Catford, and we got into that in the December, having made our first patty in June. So
you were in retail within how many months of opening it? That's unheard of.
That is crazy, isn't it? The first time I even met, I had retail boxes and packaging it on a shelf with barcodes and everything scanning, and we sold like over 100 boxes in that week, and it was just nuts. And then quick pursuit behind on the heels of that was some cost cutters. We were in a couple of cost cutters, one in Brockley, one in Bromley, and then other retailers started contacting us and saying, "Can we have him in our shop as well?"
So they're even coming after you to get these patties.
So it's so exciting,
But I guess again, what you're showing, your story demonstrates, is the difference between doing it your way and God's way.
Literally.
Because your way, you was working for how many years? 10 years, 15 years, building this business. God said, overnight I can do it.
Overnight I can do it. I'm telling you, it's just like, your ways are not my ways, and look at what I can do when you put it in my hands. Look at what I can do.
That's good.
So,
that's good. It's so inspiring. Like, literally, I love your story, and I just love the fact that I've been able to witness your journey from inception
the beginning
to now.
Yeah,
because it's just incredible. Like, people wouldn't believe it when you told them the whole journey. It literally could be a movie. It's like, wow, you would. Yeah, and that's why I wanted to go through your whole story, because I think it's important to understand people's context, because people could just see all the highlights now and just think, oh yeah, it's amazing, she's an overnight success. But it's like, no. It's been a journey to get here. It's been a journey to get here, and don't think because I'm here you can't get here. You can also get here too if you're prepared to go on your own journey and put in the
Absolutely.
work and apply yourself.
Yeah.
Because you work hard.
Yes, I do.
And let's talk about that a little bit, actually, how you do it all. You've already mentioned the fact that you wake up at 4 a.m., which is
Yeah,
insane. I've been trying to
yeah.
wake up at 5 for the past 5 years probably, and it just doesn't happen. I do it maybe one day a fortnight.
Really?
I just struggle to get up
wow.
early. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not a morning person,
Yeah.
but I have to be because I have 4 children.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a choice.
Right.
So it's difficult. So talk to me about how you're able to do it all.
Yeah, I feel like I have to say, and people can choose to believe it or not, it's supernatural grace. And I really believe that when you're walking in obedience, in alignment with your purpose, heaven backs you. Like I literally believe I have angels, like, you know, it might be woo for people, but I had to take, like, it's like, this is not normal. I do 18-hour days a lot. Like, that's normal for me to do.
To
18
work.
hours fully working, and many times 4 to 5 hours sleep. But that is not sustainable. Like, in reality, it's not a sustainable model, but God has been able to do. I don't get ill. Like it is supernatural, and I feel like what I've learnt to do is depend on the grace of God, like not do it in my own strength. Like, where I feel like it might be like I'll get in the car and say, no, God, I'm on an assignment. I don't have time to be sick, so we're not doing colds. And literally from a tickle, it's gone. Like, we're not doing that. So, because
You have to figure it out.
I have to figure this out because I'm on assignment and I've got a 3-day pop-up in the freezing cold outside. I can't be sick, so you need to. So he does, and I feel like everything that is visible is by the supernatural grace of God. Can't say it any other way.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is amazing. And it has to be something else because
Yeah.
it doesn't make
It
sense
doesn't
on
make
paper.
sense. Yeah.
Like
how are you waking up at that
Yeah.
time in the morning and being able to function?
And that's what I'm saying. You don't even do it like you're
Right. No,
slothful
I'm
or sluggish.
functioning.
You have energy for days.
Yeah, literally, I have more energy than most. Like, yeah, this is not normal.
No, it
This is
definitely,
not
yeah,
normal.
it's definitely not. So what do you think are some of the hidden costs of entrepreneurship that people often overlook?
Yeah, so there are lots of hidden costs. I would say that overheads of kind of rental, obviously when you're in your home, it's very different, but you have to remember the overheads aside from the raw materials. I think most people look at raw materials. This thing cost me this cost me this, and they forget time. They forget the kind of peripheral costs, accounting, you know, all of these softwares that you're running everything on, platforms, like all of those things add up. And who's paying for them? So like someone got to pay for it because it's not coming out of thin air. So when I'm using ChatGPT, I'm using Canva, I'm using Zoom, you know, all these things that people don't even cater for. They're just thinking, how much is it pay me? Pastry cost, the dough, the packaging, you know, all of that, and then the time. That's the biggest thing that most people are not paying themselves for their time.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Yeah. I think that is a big part of it. And I think one of the things about entrepreneurship that people don't consider is that it's not all glitz and glam. So I think people just think, I'm going to quit my job and be my own boss. And it's like, it doesn't quite work.
It doesn't quite work like
You're
that.
going to end up working crazy
More
hours, more
yeah.
hours for less
Much
pay, for
more.
less recognition
Yeah.
and all the rest of it. And you don't get to switch off in the way you would if you did that 9 to 5.
Absolutely.
So if you're a lazy person or you're a person that thinks, oh yeah, I don't want to be told what to do by my boss all the time and I'm going to do it my own way.
Yeah.
If you don't have that work ethic to
You'll
back
never
it,
survive.
it's not going to work. Yeah, it's not going to work. So I think, people sometimes glamorize the entrepreneur life thinking it's easy when actually it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
What do you say is the most fulfilling part then of running the Vegan Patty Lady?
I think the most fulfilling part for me is how many people are so excited by the fact that they can now, especially gluten-free people. I didn't realise that was a thing. Again, another God inspired. I didn't know the gluten-free market was so huge and growing at such a rate. And I didn't realise how underserved they are as a community. And seeing people so excited that they can finally have patties again, and just people in general that are like me, that miss meat, and, you know, just seeing them being able to be fulfilled by a product that I've created is just like, oh, look at the experience, and
No,
it's a healthy product, so I'm helping to make people more healthy. Just really nice. I like that part. Yeah,
that's amazing.
very fulfilling.
That's amazing. And I guess a rewarding part as well is all the relationships that you've been able to make along the way. Like, we didn't even touch on it, but you met Simon.
Yes, Simon Squim.
And
so many people influential that have supported me. Dean Forbes. I mean, it's just I don't know how I would have even come into contact with these people, but God has just opened so many doors.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm excited because if this is what the vegan patty lady has achieved in 14 months,
Can you imagine
what it's going to be like in 4 years? It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Just don't forget us when you blow.
No.
Don't forget us little people
You
when
have
you
me
blow.
back on the show.
Yeah, no, amazing. You've said it now, so we're going to commit you to this.
Yes. 5 years time, let's see what happens.
Definitely. I'm excited for the next journey. So then I guess just before you go then, in terms of any final thoughts or final words of advice for listeners, those are mums wanting to pursue the entrepreneurial path, or maybe not even mums, just people in general that are in business that want any advice about how to get started or anything like that, any advice or words of wisdom that you have to share?
I would say definitely don't try and do it on your own. Like, you don't know what you don't know, and that first insight to am I even making any money came from talking to a seasoned business person who was just like, you don't know your numbers. Like, are you okay? Like, if you feel like I felt like I was running a good business, I was like, yeah, I'm so good. And she just put me right in my box. I said, wow. So really seek advice. Get inspiration, but also learn. Like, you've got to learn how to run businesses, and then don't limit yourself. Believe in the impossible. Like, you've seen. You're not doing it, if you're a Christian, you're not doing it in your own strength, and you're going to have supernatural strength if you're doing something that God has purposed you to do. But don't feel like, oh, because nobody else has done it, it's not possible. Like, nobody would have thought that what I've achieved this last 14 months could have been done working full time, without knowing anybody in the industry. All these, like, it wouldn't have been, nobody would have predicted that was possible, but there's proof there that God does the impossible. And just don't limit yourself. You could be the next big thing. Tabitha Brown is somebody that inspires me massively.
I love her,
and she has a very similar story, a very similar God told her to, and look at her now, multi-millionaire. She's got so many products in her name. Like, I just say, wow, she's just another reminder that you can be normal, regular. She was an Uber driver before.
I know,
and look at her now. So I believe she's an inspiration to me, and I'm hoping I'll be an inspiration for others to say God can do anything, and you can be whatever you want to be.
That's amazing. I'm going to definitely close it here because that was perfect. Thank you so much, Natasha, for coming on and speaking to our audience. Like, so many gems dropped. I can't wait to edit this episode and listen back and take proper notes, because it's been amazing. It's been very educational and very inspirational. Fantastic. And you inspire me all the time. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Yay.